Large-scale maps, infinite customization, tactical gameplay. Words like these would usually only apply to games like Arma 3, Squad, Battlefield, and other military-styled games, right? But would you be shocked to learn that a game like this actually exists on Roblox of all places? This is Deadline, a game that was recommended to me by you guys because of its semi-realistic graphics, gunplay, and the fact that there are thousands of attachments in the game. The game focuses more on gunplay and customization rather than overall graphics, and I applaud them for managing to create and implement this much stuff. Huge hats off to the whole development team listed here. The game was developed by Recoil Studio and released all the way back in 2019. Upon launching into the game, we're greeted with a fairly simple menu. There's a servers menu to choose specific servers, loadout which allows you to change and modify your weapons and loadouts, profile tab which doesn't look completed yet, shop which includes some game passes for camos and other items, and of course the settings. We start by loading into the training grounds to see how the weapons work. Unfortunately, I removed the first scope that comes with the starting weapon, so trying to hit the targets in the training grounds was pretty difficult. After I finished up with that, I learned that we started with some initial cash, meaning that we could purchase some new weapons and attachments. I decided not to go too far into new weapons and rather make something out of the starter weapon. Before we go forward with probably one of the worst weapon crafts anyone has ever seen, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another video. Note, I am not a professional weapon customizer. I legit spent 10 minutes clicking stuff that had good stats and somehow created this monstrosity. I do apologize to anybody who hates the look of this weapon because I hate it too. I even went a step further to rename it as absolute garbage because that's what this loadout is. With our new weapon created and a match already halfway through, we hop in and start our adventure through this game. We unfortunately started on a night map, but it wasn't fully pitch black, so I was able to play without using night vision, which is good because night vision on a recording doesn't look the best. As we explored the map and tried to find a good spot to find some enemies, I ended up getting my first enemy encounter. And died. I enjoy the virtually no HUD in the game. It really gives a more tactical feel, knowing you can't see all the bullets or health you have left. I also forgot to close the hint panel for like the entire recording, so I do apologize in advance for that. I found myself inside the warehouse more often than outside, with numerous low ground and high ground engagement points. I really enjoyed finding enemies inside of this area. After running around for about 5 minutes, dying a second time and not finding anybody, I managed to finally get my first enemy. The feeling of getting an elimination and there being no hit markers, no HUD, and no kill feed made it feel a lot more realistic. However, I didn't really like the sounds the enemies made after being eliminated. After I finished that match, we ended up getting back into the same map, but during the day this time. I found myself doing a lot better this game, getting elimination after elimination, holding certain angles, and getting a lot of one-shot eliminations, which felt pretty satisfying whenever I did. For this weapon build being horrible looking, it was working pretty well. Speaking of maps, there's quite a few available to play. Maps like Claustrophobic version 1 through 4, Shipment, Nuran, and Sandstorm are just some of the maps available to play. The game modes are varied but fairly simple. There's Domination, King of the Hill, and Team Deathmatch. These are just some, if not all of the game modes available, because I didn't really see any other ones from what I saw. The next map was Shipment, a wide open map with some close quarter engagement locations. I also purchased a new weapon and made a new kit that looks a lot nicer than the other one. However, I tried to completely go for lower recoil without paying attention to the other stats. It took around 2 matches before I understood that you also need to focus on things like mobility and weight for sprint to fire speed, because there were a couple times I would stop sprinting and not be able to lock onto my target properly and just end up dying. Objectives were not my core focus though, since I wouldn't have a decent enough recording if half of my gameplay was just running and capturing points. I wanted to get eliminations and look damn good doing it. But instead of that, I looked like an idiot half the time, running out into the open and getting sniped from other angles rather than being tactical. If you're looking for a game similar to COD, this one is definitely not like COD. The game takes quite a lot more stealth and slower movement, as opposed to COD where you just spend half the time tactical sprinting and sliding across the map. As we absolutely destroy the enemies, I end up guarding B mainly since it was fairly open with some spots to hide and get close range with the enemies. After absolutely destroying them and getting into their head tap before winning, we move on to one of the most open maps in the game in my opinion. Nuran is what seems to be a forest/jungle based map, with many houses to fight at close range, but still having a massive open area to fight at long range. I accidentally spawned with the wrong loadout though, so I threw a grenade at myself and reset myself. Once I had the proper loadout, I began running around the map, getting absolutely destroyed at long range since most people were using snipers and long range rifles. It didn't take long before I found the spot I wanted to stay at for the rest of the match, waiting for the enemies to push me, rather than trying to fight them at range. There was even a point where I tried pushing towards my usual spot, but got absolutely sniped from 333 meters away with a scar of all guns. I ended up changing the gun a little bit, trying to go for a more balanced weapon rather than all recoil as I had mentioned earlier, after spending a bit more time at my usual spot, picking off a couple more enemies before getting sent back to spawn again. I decided to go for one last play in the final minutes. I went all the way around to the back of the spawn and started waiting for them to push out. I managed to pick off around 3 or 4 of them before the match actually ended. Still here? Great, because the pros and cons is up next. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying it so far. With most of the maps and game modes played, how do I really feel about the game? Well, here's a list of pros and cons for you to find out. The pros. The guns are pretty well detailed, same goes for the attachments. The amount of attachments is crazy, way more than I expected for any other game on Roblox. The maps are large but balanced for many different playstyles. The overall graphics are really good and does maintain good performance without sacrificing quality. The game makes all the weapon models super blocky and basic whenever someone gets eliminated, so there aren't super well detailed weapons lying around causing a lot of lag. The game modes are fairly simple and easy to understand. The gunplay is smooth and very satisfying whenever you get a headshot. There seems to be some omni movement if I'm not mistaken, so you can sprint in any direction and makes moving around a bit easier. The game gives you a lot of stamina to run around the map. I'm pretty sure you could go around from one end of the map to the other without using up all my stamina. The cons. The sounds can be quite confusing sometimes. Whenever I'm sneaking around, it sounds like my footsteps are coming from behind me rather than on me or in front of me, which can be confusing if I'm trying to sneak around and hear other footsteps around me. There isn't any spawn protection from enemies, meaning if you spawn in an open area and an enemy has a pretty clear view of that, you're basically dead if you don't know they're there already. I did get stuck at some points, especially when trying to crouch walk around places with slight elevation, which forced me to get up or start running because I just couldn't move in the first place. The wallbanging can be a bit much at times. There were 2 incidents while I was playing. Number 1, I was attempting to fight an enemy and tried to hide behind the tank that was right in front of me, but instead I just got wallbanged through an entire tank with an assault rifle. The second case of this was when I was attempting to leave spawn, but got shot through an entire brick wall without any real resistance. Unlocking new weapons can take a while, considering the rate you earn money is based on your total eliminations and deaths. You also do earn some bonus cash whenever you level up, so that definitely helps a little bit. It also didn't help that I spent a lot of cash on fully modifying new weapons, but there were a couple matches where I earned like $3,000 and others where I only earned like $700. Overall, this game was a blast, and I highly recommend it if you enjoy military-style games, super tactical games, and more customized focused games. All the cons listed are subject to change as the game is still in beta. Over time, the cons that I listed could be fixed and improved on, so just take these as the current cons at the time of release / time that I played it. I just want to give another huge props to the developers of this game. Everyone on the list here has been working incredibly hard, and I do hope you guys try this game out. It is definitely worth the play. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far and enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another video. If you have any other games you want me to check out, or if you enjoyed the video, let me know down in the comments below. I have been Miko, and I'll catch you in the next video.